And go
Is
for
it
it.
going live?
What's up?
Hey, y'all, I'm sorry. Are you going live right now?
Sure. That's the beauty of not being on the radio. I get an edit button.
Hey, y'all, it's Garrett, and I'm listening to the Garretts Wife podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we're taking the podcast to kind of a whole new level. We are breaching into the wide world of sports. So far, it's been kind of the music show, and today we're going to sort of come back to a Sunday routine of mine. After I go to church, I fire up the grill, and it's NFL time. And even though the NFL is not in season right now, and it may not be in season in the fall, Lord willing it will be, we actually have with us today a professional cheerleader, and it is a really cool experience to have her on the show. Please welcome Sierra Quiroga. Sierra, how's it going?
Hey, y'all, it's going good. I'm so excited to be on the podcast today.
We're glad you're here. I mean, it's kind of a different experience to branch out and have different areas and hear about them and kind of like how you got to be a part of those. Because when I'm interviewing musicians, it all kind of starts in the beginning and it's like early influences, things like that. I'm like, every field is that way. People go through their early influences and nobody just wakes up and jumps right into the pinnacle of their career. And so it'll be kind of interesting to hear about that. But I like to give a brief background of how I've met each guest that comes on the podcast. And for you, it was I was working for HBU, Houston Baptist University at the time, and you were cheering there. And I was in charge of the Husky Hype organization, which is kind of like the school spirit heckler group. And one thing I tell people about higher ed is your most dedicated students and the ones who have the best work ethic, either they graduate and then work for the school and stay forever, or they transfer out to big opportunities and get hired early. And you definitely kind of fit the mold because I was about to promote you to be a Husky Hype leader, and then boom, you're on to a lot bigger things. So kind of take us through that. Like, when it comes to cheer and things that you are active in and things that you're passionate about, what kind of got everything started for you?
No, yeah, so funny story. My mom growing up, she was a dancer, and so dance and cheer has kind of been in my blood. I was kind of destined for this type of lifestyle. So I've been cheering and dancing since I was 2 years old, since I could walk and could figure out what a beat was. And so just moving on through, I cheered and danced all through middle school and high school. I did the whole cheer captain for varsity thing, and I trained, every day, dance in and out. And then, I got accepted to HBU, which is amazing and a huge blessing. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go for it. I'm going to try to be a collegiate cheerleader. And I made it, which was, again, super, super fun for me, super exciting. I got to experience a lot of different aspects, and definitely move on to that next level. And it's funny that you say just like one day to the next, I was up and moving, because I got an email that, there was opportunity to go pro, and I just kind of woke up a week before tryouts and just kind of did it, and I made it, and ever since then my life has definitely changed for the better.
That's a super fast series of events. And I remember I was walking into my supervisor's office, and she's like, "Hey, did you hear Sierra's going pro?" I'm like, "Say what now?" When did that happen? Yes.
It was definitely a shocker for everybody, for sure. I was just, I just felt like it was the thing to do, and I'm really glad I went for it.
Well, colleges are tough to pick, especially when you're going to be involved at them and do something like you did. What led you to HBU?
So I'm from a small town, and I'm a first generation college student. I really had no idea how universities worked, or, even how to fill out a FAFSA application. And my counselor, at my high school was like, hey, I think HBU would be a good fit for you. You have academics that could get you some good scholarships. I think it'd be something that, would benefit you. And so I was like, well, that sounds really good. It sounds like what I need. And so I went on a campus tour my senior year, and I loved how close it was, to where I live, and the atmosphere of everything. And then, financials worked out for me at the time, which was, a blessing. And so I was like, hey, why not? Again, kind of just taking that leap of faith there. And I was like, well, let's just do it and see what happens.
That's incredible. And it's cool that you got to go to, you go from a small town to a small university, but at the same time, it's also technically Division I. I got to explain that to a lot of people when I worked there. It's like, yeah, it's a small school, and it had maybe like 3,000 students, but at the same time, you got the Division I conference, you had all that kind of stuff going on. So did you ever get to travel to any of the games when you were cheering there?
I did. So another good thing about being a small town is that not a lot of people get to make it out or go or have the opportunity to attend a D1 school. And so I was the first from my cheer program to be able to cheer at a D1 university, which, brought a lot of proud moments for my small town. But I do remember we got to cheer at the Dynamo Stadium.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what sparked a fire in me, saying like, look, one day I can be in a stadium like this. I can be in a stadium, bigger than this. So that was really my like turning moment when I was like, okay, Sierra, get it together, get serious, and start training really hard.
It's funny you mentioned that. Thinking back as an employee at that university and getting to travel a little bit with the Husky Hype organization, I think that game you just mentioned was one of my two favorites, because I think the weekend before we'd gone to San Marcos, and so we're in this like big Division I environment, and then the next week we're at the Dynamo Stadium, and unfortunately that was kind of the highlight of the football season after that. But it was really cool though, because the home crowd in that stadium was way bigger than ours because they're a bigger school, and to win that night and just kind of like y'all's group and the different bands and just kind of like the atmosphere that evening was really cool to watch. Plus, I think I was actually on the row next to your family, I think. I was with some faculty members. We were sitting next to them, so it was definitely a good time. But what were some of your favorite memories of that time period?
So I actually loved every second of it. Our coach at the time, she was still kind of new to the program, so we got to kind of bounce ideas off of each other. And I think that was a really good dynamic that we had on the team, because we were so new and our football program was so new, but everyone was so dedicated to making it the best that it could be.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I love about a team component, like where we can work as an actual team. And so it was really cool to experience and try new things, and a lot of the times it didn't work out and it was a total and complete fail, but that's where, the good memories come into play. I do remember my first pep rally, there at HBU was completely different than I had ever experienced in high school, or even competitively when we'd host showcases and things like that. And it was just, there's something about the atmosphere at a D1 school at a university, away from your hometown for the first time that you'll never forget. You just get the butterflies and the stars in your eyes, and you just know like this is about to be the best time of my life. And so I really, really love how we maintained those dynamics through my entire time at HBU.
Yeah. Well, and y'all were really good at it, and something about a small school that I like working at is there's only room to build, the sky's the limit. And so y'all worked pretty hard on that. And then whenever the opportunity came to go pro, what did that process look like? I know you mentioned like you got an email, and what was the process? I mean, how many rounds of tryouts did you have to go through? Because I remember we were all rooting for you, but I'm trying to remember kind of like how long that took.
So my rookie season, it was a different season. Like I said, it was a lot of on the spot. Just I had a week to prepare to get an outfit ready. So that was, going to Dillard's and Marshalls all at midnight trying to get something together. But it was a pretty long process. So it was the first 2 days, a two round pick. I got there at 8 in the morning, and luckily, thankfully, I just kept making round after round. So the way it works is, we learn a dance or a combination. We all line up, all 590 of us. We all line up in a single file line, and we go, by threes or fours. And after each round, people are going home. Like if your name isn't called, if your number isn't posted, you have to pack up your things and you have to get out of there.
That's terrifying.
So it is so nerve-wracking. I'm telling you, I ate so many snacks. I'm an eater when I get nervous. I was just there, just stuffing my face the whole time, and I'm just like, okay, just get it through this next round. Just one more time, Sarah. You got it. But so that next day, I think I got out of there at like 3 a.m. Jeez. We were still learning dances. So we learned our final dance routine at like 3:30 in the morning. After being there from 8 a.m. the previous day all the way until there, nonstop dancing. I was so exhausted, but so excited and pumped. And we came back that next day at like 10 a.m. So I probably got like 2 hours of sleep.
Wow.
And we were able to do, so there's a big interview process, because what a lot of people don't understand is that pro cheerleading is more than just what you see on the field. We do a lot of involvement in the community, and we are ambassadors for the team and for the league and different things like that. So we have to be well spoken, have good knowledge, and just know how to present ourselves properly. And so that was another thing. I got my interview was with actually some of the big dogs in administration for this team, and I was just like, over the top, just nervous, like, okay, Sierra, don't say, like, talk like you have some home training,
I can't even get through these podcast episodes without doing that.
Oh, yeah. But it was really fun. And then after that, I made it past interview rounds, and then we had a week of finals week. And so basically, it's the top 40 or 60, depending on how many she chooses for finals. And every day for 7 days, we are in there for 4+ hours, learning routines and showing off our skills. And then the team reveal. Now that like I said, I've been cheering and dancing my whole life, and, I've gotten turned down and I've been accepted and, kind of been through the whole ringer. But I was the first one to get called. So my rookie season, first time trying out, they called my name first. I was the first one to be announced as a pro cheerleader for this team. And I just was so ecstatic. I don't even remember walking down to, like, pick up my palms. That's how, like, are you sure it's me? Like, did she really call my name? I was just so shocked. But it's a long process, but it's definitely worth it. Most definitely.
You were the first one up, rookie season. That's awesome. Because I would hate to be like the last one called. Even if you make it, it's like you're sitting there just terrified waiting through the announcements.
Oh, well, and it's everyone that made it to finals in one room. We're all there. So, of course, you're as vulnerable as you can ever be, at that moment in time. And so you're just holding hands with the girl next to you, hoping she makes it, hoping you make it. And it's just one by one, And so I guess the nerves are just on an all-time high. But once you make it and you get your hands on that first set of palms, it's ecstatic. It's the best feeling in the world.
Do you have to retry out again after your first year?
Yeah, so every year you have to retry out. Yeah, so I went back for a second season. Of course, already knowing how the tryout process works, I was, a little less nervous, more confident. I was able to show my style a little better and more, like, individualized my second season, which was great. It was really cool to kind of go outside my comfort zone there.
That's awesome. Well, you mentioned kind of like the prep process, how you were up till 3 a.m. just for tryouts alone. How much preparation went into, you make the squad and then you've got that first football game, whenever that is, in that time period, preparing, how much goes into that people don't see? So once you make the team, you are on and you are ready. Like I said, my rookie season, things moved pretty quickly for me, which I was, very grateful for. I got to do a lot of media, a lot of TV, radio. And so I think a week after I was announced as a pro cheerleader, I started, getting to work. But we do camp, just like the football players do, just like any team. We have camp for about a week, and we learn a lot of dances. We learn basically all the routines that we're going to perform throughout the season in this, week period. And then we spend the next 3 to 4 months, depending on when that first home opener or preseason game starts, just, learning traditions, learning sidelines, just really making the team unison. And so we all dance and move as one. So it's a lot of training, a lot of workouts, a lot of late nights, but it's amazing. You don't even feel like you're working hard. One thing that would scare me to death is no matter how prepared you get, like if you get into the routine, it's almost like the actual team. They've got the Liberty blue or the white or whatever. They've got the red, white, and the blue, basically. Mm-hmm. I'd be scared to death that I'd get the wrong memo or something and I would wear the wrong uniform. Military appreciation and you're wearing red.
That has happened to me twice out of my pro career, and I wanted to cry. I was so like, oh, she's not going to let me go on the field. Like, just your heart shatters. But we're human. Everyone's human, and we all work rigorous schedules. Outside of, cheer life, we all have jobs or going to school or something like that. And so I remember I had wore the wrong top to our locker room, and I got there, and everyone else is wearing blue, and I'm in this bright red shirt, and I'm like, no way. So I turned, to my locker buddy, and I'm like, are you sure you're wearing the right shirt? Like, I'm pretty sure it's red. And she's like, oh, sweetheart. Oh, God.
You just stand in the middle and say, am I the only one that got the memo? Come on.
Yeah. I was like, there's no way. And, of course, it was my rookie season, so I was like, great, coach is going to be so upset I'm going to have to run. But the good thing is we have, like, team helpers and field reps. And they're very prepared. This is not their first rodeo. So they always have extras of everything, and I was able to change shirts, before we had to go out in the field. So it saved the day, but it does happen. It happens more often than people would think.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, because, it's not like teams where, like, if you're watching an Alabama football game, they've worn the same uniform at home for decades. You know, they've never changed it. But it's like for y'all, it's like a different thing every week. So I know that if I were in your shoes, I'd have probably done that more than twice.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so, and one time I forgot my boots. You know, like we wear boots out in the field, and I, for some reason, left them at home. I was like, oh, God.
It's just, you know, in a city that size, you can just drive home real quick and get them. It's no big deal.
Right. Everything was able to be fixed.
So it's, you know, you mentioned kind of the jump from one thing to the other. When you went from the college level to the pro level, I mean, you were cheering in a stadium in college that was, if I, you know, just a ballpark guess, I'd say it probably seats around 7,000, but it was usually about half full. I mean, how do you go from a few hundred, couple of thousand people to, you know, more than 70,000? I mean, what kind of a jump is that like to adjust?
So let me tell you this. Walking out on the stadium from the locker room, having that stadium wind hit you, you were like in your own world. It is a whole new experience, new feeling. I remember, like, when you're out there on the field, I'm like interacting with the crowd. But it's like I just individualize each person. Because if I tried to take in all 75,000 of those fans, I'm telling you, I'd be overwhelmed.
Yeah.
That is a lot of faces.
When I'm playing music, I can tell you it's the exact same way. Now, granted, I've never played for 70,000 people, but even if there's just like 6 people in a room and I don't know them, I'm going to find the one person that's actually watching and smiling, and that's who I'm feeding off of the whole night. Like, it's, right. If you try to please everybody, it's nerve-wracking. It's
too much. I always try to find my mom or like that one super fan that's super nice, you know, and I'm like, okay, that's my go-to. That's my audience right there.
Find the people that are like painted, you know, blue and red and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Super excited and pumped to be there.
So you kind of get into the groove and you start fitting in. It becomes natural. You know, what are some of your favorite memories from that whole experience?
So tunnel has to be my utmost favorite. So, you know, before every game, you know, the cheerleaders line out and the players run through, and having the flames and the Cairo behind you, and just the energy of them rushing out into the field and the crowd just going crazy insane, and you're just there trying to take it all in. That has to be one of my favorite memories of all time. It's just, it's unexplainable. I can't put it into words, but it's just so uplifting and powerful and awesome to see, you know, like your hometown city coming together and all rooting for one thing. The unison of the community is probably my best memory out on that football field in tunnel.
It is one thing I noticed when we lived there, that you can take a city that size and, you know, everyone does their own thing. We're honking at each other on the roads. You know, people are kind of brushing up against each other at the grocery store, kind of going their own way. But when it's time to unite behind something, whether it's a football game or a hurricane or whatever it is, I mean, that place bonds together pretty quickly. And I think that's why I like being a fan of all the sports teams, because even when games are a train wreck or something happens to one of the different teams, it's just like we're still good fans, you know, and everybody kind of sticks together.
Right.
One of the kind of the quirky things about being a fan is, so I didn't realize how much you do on the cheerleader side of things, because usually like on social media I'd follow the team and that was it. But, you know, following what you've done with your career, it's like y'all really do a lot of outreach. And I also follow the mascots. Like when it comes to Houston, I follow, you know, Toro, the little inflatable thing, Clutch, Diesel. Right. Like they're like my Mount Rushmore of sports staples down there. Did y'all ever do events with them? Like this is just my speculation. I was like, there's got to be several people that rotate those jobs, but it's so funny how they look like the actual animals are just best friends. I was like,
so I've encountered a lot of our hometown mascots, and all of them are just how they present themselves on social media or TV. They are all there for the same reason, you know, uplift our city, to, you know, bring in that different dynamic to, you know, different events that, you know, they're a part of and we're a part of. And they are the heart and soul of our pro teams around here, for sure.
Oh, yeah. It was kind of a goal of mine living there. I was like, I want to meet Orbit from the Astros. I never got to, but every baseball game I went to, I was like, maybe if I can get over there, I can just get a picture with him, but never got to. But that's just the inner child in me that'll never grow up. But, you know,
Orbit is definitely one you have to meet. He is a lot of fun and he likes to dance.
Well, that, and I like at the Texans games whenever, behind the goalpost, whenever Toro does that little dance, every time there's like a missed field goal from the other team or something. Like, I don't know, it just cracks me up. But I mentioned kind of like the outreach events and promotions. What are some of the things y'all did? Because in the pro leagues, like, you really don't see cheerleaders travel to the road games as much. I don't know if y'all ever did that, but what are some of the events you did whenever the team was on the road?
No, yeah, whenever the team's on the road, we stay back in our, in our town, and we're the outreach, we're the fans at home, still kind of given that dynamic in our hometown. And so we have done outreaches with various hospitals, various children's organizations. We've done like the food bank. We've stayed back and hosted watch parties and things like that. But really anything that we can do to give back to the community, we're on it. I know we have we have this program where we do care and outreaches, and so we'll go to a school, and donate books or supplies that they need, or we'll go to a park and help renovate it, or we'll go to a local shelter and just kind of be there for them and give them a different, like a break from reality, and just try to uplift spirits and people's hearts and minds.
That's awesome. Like, it's really cool that it's so much more than sports. I mean, y'all are out there really doing a lot of different things, and I think a lot of people can take that to heart and look up to it, because it's, people look, it's like, well, why is it just an entertainment industry and all this? No, there's actually a lot more that goes into it, and I think it's something that's really cool to see.
Yeah, it's awesome. It definitely builds character. It definitely, it's very humbling, and you get to see a different part of the city. You get to see it, from being, a citizen or a fan, and then going through and, being on the other side of it and being the one that's able to give back. It definitely does a full 360.
Well, speaking of things that are interesting to see, I actually meant to ask this earlier and totally forgot, but there would be times where my wife and I would be watching on a Sunday afternoon, and we're like, either the game got boring or it got out of hand. And it's like, okay, let's see if we can find the mascot, or let's see if we can see Sierra cheering. It's like, let's see what we can find on TV that's not the game. And one game, though, that was insane was there was a playoff game in January where it didn't look like there was any way the home team was going to be able to pull this thing off. And out of nowhere in the fourth quarter, I mean, it's just like boom, 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 comeback. What would you say that was probably one of the louder moments of that stadium?
I'm telling you, I couldn't hear anything but the fans and the noise and the support that they were giving. Like I said, we have field reps and we have team leaders, and we at that moment when the game switched and we, had the upper hand, all of our training just kind of went out the window, and we were so into that game. I mean, we were like, if we were, at home on our couch watching it, we were jumping up and down, cheering, screaming, throwing palms. I mean, it was a nail biter, but it was so much fun. So much fun.
I don't know how you could possibly have your back to the field and just interact and cheer to fans in a moment like that. I mean, it's like you kind of have to let it go. But,
yeah, I mean, at that moment, we just kind of like, okay, we're just, back and forth, and finally we just let loose and enjoy the moment, and really took it all in. And I think the fans even fed off of that even more.
Yeah. So one of the cool things I noticed you got to do is you got to do military support. Tell me what that was like.
Yeah, so I was chosen, out of our team, my rookie season, to go and travel overseas, to various military bases. And basically what we did, we brought a routine over. I got to MC a little bit, which was fun. And just really bring a piece of home, to our servicemen and women out there. And I was just on cloud nine. So I come from a military family. I have every branch represented one way or the other. And so it was just so awesome to be over there and to give back, not only for my family, but, for everyone else that's involved and everything that they do there. And it was awesome. We were there for about a week. Like I said, we traveled, from various different bases, and we got to kind of, do a day in their life, when they're deployed. And so it was just really awesome all the way around.
That was really cool to see. And then y'all did some military support at home, too, at the games, correct?
Yes, we did. So, you got to do like a salute to service. And so, one or two games out of the season is dedicated to, honoring and remembering and just saluting back to our servicemen and women.
That's so cool. And so shout out to any servicemen and women who are hearing this podcast. Thank y'all for what you do. And it's just really cool to see all the different kind of services you've been able to provide through, pro cheerleading and things of that nature. You are also studying to go into the health field, correct?
Yes, I am. So I am 3 weeks away from my undergrad. So funny
Congrats.
thing, I am getting, Thank you. I'm so excited. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm getting my undergrad. I'm getting a bachelor's of science in psychology. I'm a really good people person, so I thought, hey, why not, get a degree in psych? But I've been working in the medical field for the past 5 years now. So I'm a medical assistant and a phlebotomist.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's super, super nice. So right now I'm managing a medical lab, and, with everything going on in this pandemic, I'm really glad that I was able to, gain experience to where I'm able to help people now. We're going to be doing COVID antibody testing and be kind of like a outpatient resource center for my hometown. So it's really exciting, and I'm super excited, and hopefully, if we can help one family, then I would be happy about that.
That's incredible. And I mentioned earlier, my wife's a nurse, and so just all of y'all who in the medical field who are still, staying essential and working during this time. I mean, I have the utmost appreciation for what y'all are doing, and just hope you stay safe. And glad y'all are out there helping people for sure.
Thank you. It's definitely scary, and props to your wife too. She's first in line over there, and I know it's difficult. And we're just trying to kind of ease them a little bit. Hopefully, we can take some of the less critical patients and kind of even out the healthcare system a little bit.
For sure. It's actually interesting. When I was talking about the playoff game a minute ago, my wife was actually going to go work a night shift at the hospital while the game was not going so well. And she's like, have fun with this. I'm like, yeah, I'm about to turn it off. And then she's working for a couple hours. I text her. I'm like, you're not going to believe this, but we won. So,
we won.
It's like, excuse me? So what are some of the other outreach you do? I know you work with a youth program. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I have been interning at the Houston Texans team club. And I love every second of it. So, of course, my senior project, I was able to go and intern for a few hours. I think I had to finish like 120, but I fell in love with that organization from the moment I started there. And so I'm still keeping up with them. I teach yoga, do different dance classes, especially through this pandemic where we're supposed to be social distancing, staying at home. And so I'm always looking for ways to kind of keep the team, active and up to date, not just kind of chilling in their room.
That's awesome. Well, it's really good to keep people active right now, because I mean, my goal during this whole quarantine thing was I'm actually going to get in a much better shape because I'm like 10 feet away from my workout equipment instead of coming home after work. I got worse. I was like, I'd get out of my office chair, I'd look over and be like, nah, I'm good. So, stay active out there, people. Stay active. Yes, please. Now, if I can just get a haircut, I'll be in prime shape. But, I'm going to look like a Tom Hanks on Castaway by the time this whole thing's over.
Right? My brother started to look like that. So I YouTubed a haircutting video and did my best with some kitchen scissors.
That's awesome. So what are some of the upcoming goals you have for the future? You're about to finish up school, and, the light is at the end of the tunnel, as you said, and soon we'll be able to all go places again. What are some of the things you're looking forward to doing here in the next few years?
Yeah, so I'm definitely looking for master's programs right now. I'm looking for more like health administration routes. So that's definitely next on my radar. I am also wanting to do more work with the teen club as well. And so we're kind of figuring out a position for me there, seeing if maybe I can kind of stay on with them and can do that thing. But I'm looking for, after this pandemic, to just kind of set some new goals and conquer them.
Well, you've conquered a lot. What would you say to anyone who, if there's a little kid out there that wants to be a pro cheerleader someday, what would you say to anyone that wants to accomplish goals in the areas that you've accomplished?
Of course, just go for it. Don't let the fear of striking out stop you from going to the plate. And I mean, just take every opportunity you can. Dance in your living room, dance in the car, dance in your room, dance at school. Do what you love and do it all the time. Don't let anyone stop you, of course, as we all have. I've had a lot of naysayers, a lot of people saying that I couldn't do it. Block those people out. This is your life. You only get one life, so you might as well make the best of it and go for every opportunity possible.
Definitely couldn't have said it better myself. That was great. So this is typically a music podcast, but like I said, it's going to be branching into a lot of different areas. But one thing I do think would be kind of cool to ask all guests, regardless, is 3 music questions. And the first one is, what is the best concert you've ever been to?
My best concert was a Russ concert that I went to actually, while I was attending HBU, I think it was my sophomore year, he came down to Houston, and I was a big Rush fanatic at the time. I still am. And it was just so much fun. I got to go down close by the stage and just really interact, with the artists. And I think that was my most memorable and best concert that I've been to.
That's cool. Where was that concert at?
That one was at Reliant.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've gone to some really great concerts there, but the two that I've been to most recently, I was way up in the nosebleeds, and I tell you, the acoustics up there are awful. It was just like, God. So if you're gonna go to a concert there, definitely try to be closer to the stage, as you said. But did you get to see anyone at the rodeo before it was canceled?
I did. So I went to Tejano Night, so I got to see Ramon Ayala, which was awesome. I had so much fun. I love to dance. So I was just up there just taking in his music, dancing, and just having a great time with family.
I'm a diehard country music fan, but usually when I look at the lineup, there's been times when I look at Tejano Night and I think that might actually be the most fun night to go to instead of some of the quote-unquote country artists they bring in. Like, I think I'd rather go to that.
Yeah. And everyone goes all out on Tejano Night. Like, I'm talking just 100% diehard, and it's the best experience ever. I love the atmosphere.
That's awesome. So who are some of the artists you keep on your frequent rotation? Like, who are some of the people you listen to a lot?
So I am a diehard Miranda Lambert fan.
I think that's like 3 or 4 guests in a row I've had on here.
Really, she is amazing. I just love her music to pieces. She's awesome. Ever since I was little, she's like my number one. I really like Russ right now. I love how he's kind of doing his own thing, not really like looking for labels or anything like that. So I really appreciate his hard work there. And my third one, I would say Keith Urban. Keith Urban has a nice vibe. I like Keith Urban.
There you go. One thing that's on my listening to-do list, I guess, for probably this afternoon, to be honest, I don't even listen to him, but apparently Posty set up a quarantine show with Travis Barker, and they did like a Nirvana concert wearing dresses, and I've heard it was the weirdest thing that's happened during COVID, and I'm like, well, I can't not watch that. I've got to go see whatever this is about.
You definitely need to check it out.
Have you seen that?
I haven't seen it, but now I'm kind of interested to see what it's all about.
Yeah, I'll send you the link. I had like two or three different people texting me like, dude, have you seen this? And if not, you have to. I'm like driving somewhere and I look down at my phone. I'm like, what the heck? That's awesome. So the big 3 questions. You've got to do some cool traveling as a cheerleader. When these quarantines are over, if you could pick one place to travel, what would it be?
So I've gotten to travel quite a bit. And one place that's still on my bucket list is Italy.
Oh, wow.
Italy is definitely one that I need to go to. So I've been everywhere. I've been, of course, to Mexico. I've been to London. Been to France. I've been to Africa. I've been to Qatar, Abu Dhabi, Dubai. And so I'm like, you know what? I need to go to Italy. I think Italy would be a good addition to my bucket list there.
That'd be a really cool place. And it's, gosh, like, I don't know if we'll open up before they do or not, but either way, so once this whole thing is over, I think that's a place that'll definitely need some tourism.
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely.
You mentioned London. Did you cheer over there?
I did. So my senior year in high school, I was a 3-time All-American cheerleader. And so your senior year, you're able to travel overseas. So I got chosen to cheer with the All-American squad. And we did the London New Year's Day parade. And so I was, out in London for about a week. And again, we were doing, dance routines and appearances and just kind of bringing a little life, to leading up to New Year's. And, after our New Year's parade, my mom and I actually hopped on a Star Tram, which is, pretty quick transportation out there, and traveled to Paris for New Year's Day and spent the whole day out there. And it was just amazing. I kind of got hooked on traveling. That was my one trip that got me hooked.
I think that's been the hardest part of quarantine for me is I'm also kind of like, I don't know, I don't travel a whole lot, but it's something I absolutely love to do. And when I'm not traveling, I'm always wishing I was. So it's been kind of like, I've been sitting there making lists, watching YouTube videos, like, where do I want to go after this?
Oh yeah, I definitely have had time to kind of plan trips now. So I'm like, when the quarantine is over and the world opens back up, I'll be ready.
So the second of the big 3, if you could go back and relive one experience from your cheer career, what would it be?
One experience, I love them all. The one experience I would relive would definitely be our military tour for sure. That one it changed my perspective on life, and I had such a great time. So I would definitely love to relive that one as many times as I could.
That's incredible. So the grand finale, what is the funniest or craziest story you can tell from your experience? Or as I like to reiterate to people, it doesn't have to be the craziest one, just the craziest one you're allowed to tell. Because I have a lot of people that they'll message me off air and be like, I can't tell. I'm like, that's okay.
The craziest experience, okay, one that I can tell, it was my rookie season, and I got chosen to do draft day, so draft pick, and it was with Andre Johnson.
Nice.
I had no idea prior, that Andre Johnson was going to be there. And of course, I'm still, very new to the whole, professional life. And I get there and there's Andre Johnson standing there and I was just like awestruck. And he was like talking to me, right? I don't remember what he was saying, but I was just like so zoned out and just like, this is Andre Johnson, like a foot in front of me. Oh my gosh.
He beat up Courtney Finnegan. That was great.
Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh. Well, my teammate like nudged me and she was like, hey, like, he's talking to you. You need to respond. And I was just like, hi.
That'd probably be me too. Like, hey.
I was like, I was so embarrassed. And it was so funny. Our PR team laughed for days after that. They were like, you just looked like a deer in the headlights. And you're just, hi. But he turned out to be really cool. He thought it was funny. He kind of laughed it off. And, we got down to business and, did what we had to do for draft day. But that was probably the craziest and funniest and most embarrassing moment that I've had so far.
That's awesome. Did you get to meet many players during that whole experience?
I got to meet a few through, of course, work. So, different appearances and outreach programs and things like that. Definitely a few of them I got to meet.
That's really cool. I'd probably, what you said about Andre Johnson, I'd probably have that reaction with a lot of them. Just be like, hey, you're that guy.
It's just so different, from seeing someone on TV your whole life and then they're, standing right there in front of you having a full-blown conversation.
That's so funny. Well, Sierra, I'm glad you came on the podcast today. And, you've been doing a lot of great stuff and you're doing a lot more than a lot of people do before they graduate college. So it's really cool to see that. And as I've mentioned on the podcast before, the job that actually pays me is higher ed. And so when you work in higher ed and you see your students actually going out there and accomplishing a lot of things, it makes you feel good about the work you do. So we're all proud of you and we're just happy to see what all you've been able to do.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. You guys definitely had an impact on my momentum that I have here.
Awesome. Well, you take care and keep staying safe and hope you and your family are doing well during all this. And we'll see you soon.
Yeah, see you soon. Thanks for having me.